Retail selling off in the face of these new tariffs, leaving our next guest to point out that there may be no geographic safe havens. Joining us this morning, Oppenheimer's Brian Nagel is with us. Brian, I want to cover the supply chain and then the demand, but to what degree are there safe havens on the supply side?
Well, good morning, Carl. Look, I mean, there aren't many. I think that's, for me, as an analyst that studies the consumer and retail, that was one of the biggest takeaways from the presentation last night, is that safe havens have been largely abolished. And we saw over the last several years, a lot of manufacturing capacity went out of China into other countries in Southeast Asia. Now as the presidential administration is slapping massive tariffs on those countries. So really, from a geographic standpoint, I see no safe havens at this point, and that's a big problem.
What do you think the playbook looks like right now? Let's just take Nike and the evolution that they've made over time to try to do what they thought was the smart thing. What now?
Well, look at that. Nike's a perfect example, and this shows why this is so difficult. Okay, so Nike, in the wake of tariffs that were put in place back in 2018, they did move manufacturing capacity to the extent they could. But Nike's made the point repeatedly. There were certain products that they produced in China, and they stayed in China because the production was so specialized. Okay, so now if I'm Nike, we were slapped with these much higher tariffs, really no place to move geographically. I mean, the idea of bringing manufacturing back to the United States anytime in the near future is almost laughable. It just can't happen. Okay, so if you're Nike, you're basically saying, look, we're going to try to get more efficiencies out of the supply chain. We're going to work with our partners, and we're going to raise prices. So again, one big takeaway is I'm watching all of this. By the way, I think CNBC is doing a great job covering this morning. If I'm a consumer, what I'm learning is things I buy, and a lot of things I buy, just got a lot more expensive.
All right, listen, we've said, well, given how high these tariffs are, 46% Vietnam, 54% China, maybe they really do think that they can get manufacturing back here in the U.S. You said the idea is laughable. Why is it laughable that Nike would move manufacturing back here anytime soon?
And I would also add, Brian, New Balance manufactures sneakers in the United States.
I just don't think, what I hear from my companies all the time, there's always been, I talk to, as part of my job, I talk consumer companies all the time. And look, there's always been kind of an interest, so to say, in bringing manufacturing back to the United States. So a lot of companies have looked at this, but look, what we hear repeatedly, you don't have the manufacturing capacity, you don't have the labor. Now, over time, maybe over time, maybe, and I'm guessing here a bit, 10 years. It's going to be a long time. So the idea that these tariffs get put in place here in the next several days, and these retailers, manufacturers start bringing manufacturing back to the United States near term, it's just not going to happen. There's so many barriers to that happening.
Brian, we'll talk some RH at some point. I wish I had more time this morning, but thank you for sitting down. Brian Nagel joining us on some retail.